On the 31st of October 2018, billionaire Tom Hagens' wife, Anne-Elisabeth Hagen, mysteriously disappeared from her home in Norway. In the hallway of the couple's home, a ransom note was found saying that the abductors wanted money for the kidnapped wife. 5 years later, neither Anne-Elisabeth nor her abductors have been found, even if the police have worked intensely with the case, searching the house and its surroundings many times. The strange case that shook the whole country left many people wondering, was this truly an abduction or a domestic homicide? This is the mysterious disappearance of Anne-Elisabeth Hagen. Hello everyone and welcome to my channel. My name is Elin and on this channel I cover true crime cases that have occurred in the Nordic countries. Some content warnings before I start this video. This video will include kidnapping, murder, and this case is overall very mysterious and strange, so if that's something that you don't want to watch, I suggest you click out of this video now. If you like my channel, please subscribe, and now let's get into the case that happened in Norway. So, Anne-Elisabeth Hagen was a 69-year-old woman who was a mother of 3 children. She was known as Lisbeth to her friends, and she was described as an animal lover who went to a Christian folk school. When she was 18 years old, she met 18-year-old Tom Hagen in a bowling hall and married him in 1979 at only 19 years old. Tom Hagen is a 72-year-old man who was born in Oppaland in Norway. His father was a construction worker and he had 12 other siblings, so the family was not very well off. His friends remember him as being driven and forward, and he later studied to become a building engineer. As an adult, Hagen became a businessman and also one of the richest men in Norway, as he had his own successful companies as well as developing and selling properties. Financial magazine Capital estimated as of 2022 that Tom Hagen is the 184th richest person in Norway, so he was very rich. Even if he was wealthy, he liked living a quiet life, driving a normal car, and it was said that from the outside nobody would have known that the couple were actually millionaires. In their 20s, they had purchased a house where they were still living together in 2018, and this was a pretty normal house without any kind of security, even if they were rich. The house was located 12 miles outside of Oslo, which is the capital of Norway. Anne-Elisabeth was first working in a nursing home, but decided to be a stay-at-home mom after Tom started making a lot of money. The couple had been married for 50 years when the events of this case take place. So in July 2018, an article was published in a magazine about Tom Hagen, specifically focusing on the money that he had made in 2017. The article brought a lot of attention to Tom Hagen and of course to his money, and if this is connected to the case or not, we don't know to this day. But on the 31st of October 2018, Tom Hagen leaves for work in the morning around 9 after drinking coffee with Anne-Elisabeth as usual. At 9:14, Anne-Elisabeth was talking on the phone with her son, although some sources said that she was talking to Tom, so it's not really clear, but most sources said that she was talking to her son on the phone. At 9:48, so only half hour later, the couple's neighbor Tommy Skansen called her, since she had asked him if he could change some lights in their home, and he was apparently an electrician. At this point, she did not answer her cell phone, which was a bit strange since they had talked about him coming there to change the lights in the home, and she was usually not really that busy during this time. But he did, however, not report this to anyone, and he just let it go. During the day, there were other people calling her cell phone, but without any response. The last person talking to her was either her husband or her son at 9:14 in the morning. After this, Anne-Elisabeth mysteriously disappeared. Tom Hagen comes home around 1:30 in the afternoon, and this was earlier than he usually arrived home from work. The door was unlocked and he knew that something was weird since Anne-Elisabeth was not found anywhere in the house and also some of her clothes were found on the floor. He also noticed a letter on a chair in the hallway as he enters the home, and this letter said that his wife was kidnapped and that the abductors wanted a ransom of $9 million in cryptocurrency transferred to a bank account. The ransom note also added that if the money was not sent in time or if Tom contacted the police, then she would be murdered. Locked in a room was also their little puppy. So Tom thought about it for a while and decided to contact the police around 2 in the afternoon. The authorities were being very careful to avoid putting Anne-Elisabeth's life in danger, and everyone thought that she was alive at this point. They started investigating and searched the house and surrounding areas many times. The main theory was an abduction with a financial motive. When searching the house, they did locate Elizabeth's blood in the staircase in their house that had been washed off, but it was impossible to say if this was connected to the day of the crime or if it was just from some time before. During the time of the investigation, Tom was still going to work as usual, but people said that he were being withdrawn. Tom said in questioning that the night before her disappearance, he had a feeling that someone was looking at him from outside the window, but he did not see anyone when he was looking out. In the end of November, the couple's surroundings got the news about Anne-Elisabeth's abduction, but they were told to stay quiet about it. On the 9th of January 2019, the police held a press conference and let the public know about Anne-Elisabeth being missing. This was over 2 months after she went missing, and the investigation had not really moved anywhere at this point. The police at this point probably believed that Elizabeth was no longer alive and that they were dealing with a murder investigation. The police also published recordings of hooded men walking outside Tom Hagen's work on the morning of her disappearance. It was believed that these men were checking if Tom's car was in the parking lot to know when they could execute the abduction. If this was the case, then there was not only one person involved in the kidnapping, and it was most likely some kind of group. On the 16th of January 2019, the Hagen family received a message through cryptocurrency saying that Anne-Elisabeth was still in captivity. The communication with these believed abductors continued, but there was suspicion since these people had not really been communicating with the family from the beginning, and they just suddenly kind of popped up and said that she's alive and that they want ransom money for her. It might just have been some other criminals trying to make money out of her disappearance, and therefore the police tells the family to not pay any money if they are not 100% sure that these are truly the kidnappers. During this time, suspicion also started to be directed towards Tom Hagen himself, and police were questioning people around the couple. In April 2019, they used specially trained dogs to search the area around the house, but it has not been released if they found anything during this search. In June, the investigation takes a quick turn as the police now thinks that Anne-Elisabeth was murdered and that the abduction was a way to cover up the crime. They now believe that the letter was just a distraction and also ruled out the 2 men outside of Tom's workplace in the morning of the disappearance. The reasoning for this has not been fully released, but there were at least cracks in Tom Hagen's story. So Tom Hagen now decided to pay the cryptocurrency money to the abductors after receiving another message from the so-called abductors. This was 1.3 million euros, but after paying the money, he never got any answer from them. The police also connected a shoe print from the crime scene along with some other evidence to stores close by the couple's home, which leads investigators to their prime suspect in the case. So the prime suspect and also the biggest suspect in this case is Anne-Elisabeth's husband, Tom Hagen. Some sources say that Tom had called Anne-Elisabeth many times during this particular day, which was not what he usually did. When she did not answer, he went home earlier than usual from work, and then she was suddenly missing. There is, however, a lot of question marks and unclear things when it comes to her disappearance, as well as his actions that day. In April of 2020, the police arrested Tom Hagen for murder and complicity in the killing of his wife, Anne-Elisabeth Hagen. The evidence that the police had against him have not completely been released to the public, but the police thinks that she was killed in the bathroom of the couple's home. After this, the kidnapping was staged. Tom Hagen claims that he's innocent and denies murdering her. Statements regarding the couple's marriage also came out, revealing that their marriage had not been the best for the last couple of years, and the couple were arguing a lot. According to one statement, their marriage was turbulent and Anne-Elisabeth always had to obey Tom's orders. Anne-Elisabeth had also stated on many different occasions that she wanted to divorce Tom, but she would not have any money without him, and their prenup was also very unfair, so it would leave her with almost no money. There were also searches in her computer history showing that she had searched for divorce. Tom also dated another woman while Anne-Elisabeth was still missing, which is definitely suspicious, to say the least. I mean, why would you go on to date someone new if you're not sure if your wife is still alive or not? So, to me, that makes it sound like maybe he actually knew something. He overall seemed cold and indifferent to her disappearance, but it is, however, believed that he did not murder her himself, and instead had her killed by someone else, which is probably possible considering how rich he was. The person who he paid the ransom money to might actually have been the hitman that he hired to kill his wife. This makes him look like a good husband, trying to find his wife and paying the ransom money, although he might have just actually been paying for her murder. The account can't be traced since it's through cryptocurrency, so it's very hard to prove or investigate if this was actually the case. This is, however, pure speculation, as it has never been proven. Tom appealed his arrest and was released in May of the same year due to lack of evidence against him. He does, however, remain the prime suspect in the case. But after this, there has also been other suspects in the case. A man in his 30s, whose name has not really been released and who has a lot of knowledge about cryptocurrency, has also been suspected to have a part in the murder. In media, he has been called the Crypto Man. This man was also arrested around the same time as Tom Hagen, but was also released due to lack of evidence. The police has never released exactly why he was a suspect in the case, and he's still a suspect in the case to this day. This man has allegedly had many meetings with Tom Hagen before the disappearance, and the meeting were themed cryptocurrencies, which is definitely suspicious. He himself says that he's innocent, though. The third suspect is also a man in his 30s, and he's a Norwegian citizen who has been a suspect since May 2022, so pretty recently. This man is suspected to have assisted in the murder from June 2018 to the day that she disappeared. This suggests that the man has been helping to prepare for the suspected murder. And this man also has a very shady past. He has been in prison for rape, and he has also previously been sentenced for many frauds, as well as 9 ID thefts, and he has been sentenced for attempted insurance fraud. Police cannot at this point comment any more information, but claims to have very good reasons for him being a suspect in the case. He, of course, denies having a part in the disappearance. There is also another interesting theory that was brought up in the documentary that I watched, and this goes that maybe Anne-Elisabeth wanted to disappear and somehow staged her own disappearance. Maybe she wrote the note herself and was hoping that someone in the family would realize that it was her who wrote it, and this theory also suggests that maybe she had help from someone, possibly a lover or someone else. But this is pure speculation and it has no proof whatsoever, and I personally feel like, why would she ask for ransom money in that case? It just seems unlikely in my opinion. So personally, I believe that someone else than Tom must have been involved in the case since he was at work during the time of her disappearance, but the question is kind of like how many and who. I also wonder if there is something else that she possibly knew about that nobody else knows about, and that ended up getting her killed. To me, it's possible that all of the suspects have a part in her disappearance, and I do unfortunately think that she's not alive today. I also want to mention that Tom and Anne-Elisabeth's kids all believe that their father, Tom, is innocent and has nothing to do with her disappearance, so that might just be worth mentioning. But that's all that I have for this case, and this case is a really messy case, and I'm left wondering if there is some information that the police have that they don't release to the public, and what that information in that case might be. I do hope that this case is one day going to be solved, and I truly believe that it is possible that it will one day be solved. But anyway, thank you so much for watching this case, and I hope that I see you again in the next case. Goodbye, everyone.